Hey, and what's up guys? Welcome to this episode of JS Scape Review. If you remember, like a few months back, I've been in Denmark, I visited Michael Mikkelsen, his place, and I reviewed a couple of his tanks and I showed you with some Photoshop mockups what he could have done better with his works, and the feedback has been overwhelming. You can submit your work at any time just by using the hashtag JSScapeReview on Instagram and Facebook. So I selected a couple pictures and I did the work here on my iPad. Let's kick in the first real episode of JS Scape Review, or is it the second episode? Doesn't matter. Guys, the first work we have over here comes from Evita Lehtinen, on Instagram known as Aquascaper Evita Lehtinen, and she's an aquascaper, female aquascaper from Finland, and this is the work that she has submitted. So on her work, my first thoughts were, I really like the round pebbles that she has used, but there is like a downside with using these round shaped pebbles, as it is the pattern that they have. What I try to say is that with her rocks, the round pebbles, they have a pattern like a structure, and you always have to arrange the rocks in the same way. Like here we see you have a lot of vertical lines on this stone, horizontal lines on this stone, some sort of diagonal line on this stone, and that one over here, I'm not quite sure, it could be either vertical or horizontal, while the one in the back is again horizontal. As you can see with all the lines that I have applied, that is what is making the rocks less effective. There is no flow. I wish there was, all the rocks, the structure was all in the same direction. But other than the structure on the rocks, the Rotala Valicky in the back, it's kind of overgrown. You see like very vertical growth, so I would definitely trim it back and make it more compact, and also maybe just apply some sort of a sand path to the layout, like in the mid-ground here, so that would be really nice. And before making this episode, I checked out Evita's Instagram and I found that updated picture of her work. She did this on her own, and you can see here clearly the Rotala Valicky is more compact, has been trimmed, of course the scape has matured, and also she has added the sandpath on her own, so great job on doing so. But nonetheless, I would like to apply some improvements to the scape, how I see that kind of taking it to the next level. So I've been thinking, first of all, the Pagostemon helferi that used to be a little more in that previous image here kind of disappeared, which is a little bit sad. So I wish on the new image, the Pagostemon helferi to come back and be more present. So let's add a little bit of Pagostemon helferi back on the image. So now that looks really filled well in the mid-ground in between the rocks, which was, if I take it away just really quick, a little bit empty. So we keep that. Next, the Rotalas, they need to be trimmed a little bit more, but this is probably, this is just an in-situation picture, but let's just imagine we trim them back and we achieve a more bushy look. So this is eventually how the Rotalas could look like with some more trimming and replanting, just more bushy, just filling in more the space. Another thing is, which I'm not quite happy with, is the Anubias in the background and in the foreground at the same time. Instead, I would suggest to move all the Anubias to the foreground, and that could look like this. Because the Anubias, they have the large leaf size, and then, with the Pagostemon helferi, the plants, they would become smaller, Rotala Valicky even smaller. That would just increase the sense of depth and scale in that tiny little aquarium. And yeah, finally the sand path now is covered with Pagostemon helferi, but if we just remove the helferi, we see how far it was going. I wish the sand path to go all the way to the back. So I did a little Photoshop here, and this is how it could look as a final image with all the hardware removed and the sand path going all the way to the back, having like a second twist. There is like the first twist, and adding a second twist really adds to the dynamic and to the perspective of the layout. So if we just jump back really quickly, we see where we started, and this is the potential sort of a final image for her work. So Evita, I hope you appreciate this feedback and it is helpful for you, and also I hope it was helpful for you guys watching it. Now up to the next work. And this one is from Hannes. I know Hannes personally, and why I have selected his work, it is a very easy one for me to demonstrate to you how you can take this work to the next level, and probably Hannes knows himself what to do. He just wanted to submit the work, so Hannes, I appreciate it. But nonetheless, if we look on his work, what I see right now is he has a lot of branches, very thin branches in the background that go in all kind of directions, but they don't have like volume. It looks very thin. They are just spare twigs in the background. Instead, I would wish him having maybe a more, I don't know, maybe like a more dominant driftwood on top of the rock that is just more present. And also plant-wise, there is still too little going on. The scape is still too empty. And to demonstrate before I draw back on his image, I know exactly where Hannes has taken his inspiration from. And this is the work of my good friend Adam Paskala from Poland. And this is his IPLC 2019 entry. And yeah, this is like winning work, honor prize, world rank number 13th. So this is like very high class. And here you can see clearly the parallel between Hannes' work and probably where his inspiration comes from. Kind of similar rock structure, Riccardia moss attached to the rocks. And then you see what Adam does differently. He is having this massive wood attached on top of the rocks, and also a lot of plants mixed in between, kind of growing out of the tank, making it like a very nice jungle. So just imagine this kind of elements we have here with the plants added to Hannes' scape, even like on top of his rocks. That could be, I don't know, like bucephalandras that go a little bit larger in size, could be some ferns, those things, or Hygrophila ponadifida that can really become invasive in his scape. But also the wood, as you can see here in Adam, his scape, the wood is quite dominant. It's not just the tiny branches, but you have the very big wood that is sitting on top with thicker branches. And in this situation, if we go back to the work of Hannes, he should be more brave and just try out more dominant driftwood on top of the rock. Other than that, I like the start. It is a great start with a lot of details, and yeah, that's it. Hannes, hope you appreciate it, and hopefully I was right about your source of inspiration. Now let's move on to the next one. Work number 3 in today's video is from Mark Gordy from UK. You can find him on Instagram at Mark Gordy Scaper, and he's also on YouTube and is creating YouTube videos. So this Fluval Flex Nano Aquarium is remarkable. First of all, the plants are super healthy. They're all super easy plants. Not sure, I think it's Helantium tenellum green, Anubias, Java fern, crypts, and Hygrophila 53B or something like that. But it's super simple, and that's what I like about it. So that scape clearly shows that with minimum, I don't know, even like low budget and minimum hardware, you can achieve something very nice. When I shared this picture on Tropica's Instagram channel, it achieved, I don't know, like thousands of likes, and I don't know, was one of the best performing posts in a long time. So when I look at it, there are certain things that I think Mark could improve. First of all, which just draws my attention, is that bottom section here with all the roots that are visible. And as well, on the top of the aquarium, you have like individual stems that look a little bit leggy, and in general, the top layer of the aquarium looks kind of empty. And this is due to a simple fact, because the front glass of this aquarium is bow front. And because of this bow effect, everything close to the edges looks stretched. You know this probably like from the GoPro, like the fisheye lens effect where it's warped on the outside. Same happens here. Probably in person it is not as obvious as it is on the image. However, let's do some Photoshop here to see how we can improve the scape. So first of all, I see the mid-ground of this aquarium could just simply use more plants, and mid-ground is something that I cannot stress out enough is the most important part of your aquarium. This is where the hardscape sits and where the plants really have to be dominant. Otherwise you have like a very flat lawn and then like a wall behind it. So let's put in more ferns, That's fun, right? Just duplicating ferns all around in Photoshop. I love it. I wish it would be as easy in Aquascape. And next step, the stems in the background. So the thing with the stems is you trim them back, you replant the trimmings, and then it becomes more bushy. Also, the stems that you have trimmed eventually are going to create 2 new shoots and become more dense. And how this could look like, hopefully this image demonstrates well. I've also trimmed down some of these stems just to keep the upper space more clean so they're not stretched by the warpy effect. And finally, just to, I don't know, camouflage or hide the unsightly roots in the foreground. I mean, they are light colored, healthy root structure, which is nice, but I think on the image itself, if there was just a black tape on top of the soil, like you can buy black tape from the Home Depot and just tape like your aquarium. In this case, because he has black silicone, that wouldn't be obvious at all. So I think that is a very easy hack how you can hide the root structure of your aquarium and that whole section. I mean, how it was before, and if we just move back, so I think that is a big improvement to the layout. Mark, hopefully you like this feedback and you can make some of the improvements in your scape, and I would like to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, sharing your passion on YouTube. So I'm a subscriber to your channel, and I hope everyone watching this video is going to check out your channel as well. You will find a link down in the description below. Now up to the final tank in this episode. So the entry number 4 is from Ricardo Great Aquascape, and yeah, this is the original image that he has submitted. All in all, the scape itself is still very fresh and young, so I believe there is a ton of room for growth and improvement here. But nonetheless, let's see what is possible and what I like and what could be improved. So if we have a look on this, you have a very dominant branch like this, and when I see hardscape overhanging, I always try to imagine in nature if this would be something you could find in nature and if it would be natural or stable. Imagine a tree like this growing over the edge of a mountain or a cliff. You immediately start thinking this is going to just drop down. It's never going to hold there because there is no visual support to it. So it looks like it is going to drop down. So in order to avoid this driftwood dropping down, it requires some visual support. To do so, just one rock kind of added next to the base of the driftwood, and this kind of visually provides more stability to the whole structure. So next, let's talk about the stems on the left side and the right side. Just kind of, you know, just fast forward in time and see how it could look like when grown in. So here you go, guys. I kind of multiplied the plants on the left side, filled in that shape, and added some more crypts on that island on the right side, as well as red stems over here. Next, I see some Anubias in the scape, and they are again just one here, one there, kind of randomly. And I think if you're using an element, it should be present kind of everywhere evenly, like it would be in nature. So I did my game here with the Anubias, and you know, I cloned them all over the place. And I think right now it adds this nice contrast between, you know, the light cosmetic sand, the fresh green Anubias, and the gray color rocks. The Anubias, it really stands out and pops. And finally, something I'm not so happy about is that middle section here. So that middle section here with the crypts, I don't know, for me they just don't feel right. Over there it's like filler material, and I'm asking like, why are they there? It's supposed to be like deep effect, like a valley in between those two cliffs or something. So instead I would just remove them, add maybe some tiny crypts on the left, on the right, maybe some extra rocks, and have like a valley there that fades out. And now we have that final image. And if we just jump back and see how it was in the beginning, and now again the final result, I think that kind of demonstrates how you have the main side on the left and a little counterpart on the right side that creates a nice tension between them, and then you have that valley which, I don't know, creates very nice sense of depth. That's it. I would like to do more of these videos if you like watching them. So just drop me a comment down below, tell me if that was valuable, if that is something interesting, something that you want to see more in the future. I know it is a little bit difficult because we have just one static image and we don't have the crispy, I don't know if it was crispy, but the very nice B-roll that I filmed at Michael's place. It is kind of impossible to do the same thing with the, having like footage sent in from all over the world from the viewers. So if that format, me doing like Photoshop modifications on images of your works is something that you can have value from, then hey, let's continue the game. I don't know, let me know in the comments below if you want another episode and if you want your work to be reviewed in the same way. Just submit it on social media with the hashtag JSScapeReview. Rate this video with a thumbs up or a thumbs down if that concept you think is nothing for you. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you hopefully next time. Bye.